through storms, unshaken, unbowed. Through trials and verdicts, still standing proud. A titan in the tempest, against the raging crowd. He's got a vision for the future, gonna shout it aloud. Changing the wind, it's coming fast. A new foundation built to last. Cryptocurrencies the key, make the big switch. Power to the people, time to teach the rich. Legal battles can't hold him, he's moving on. With plans so bold, from dusk till dawn. He's rewriting the rules, a new dawn's day. From the hands of the few to the people's way. Say goodbye to all chains, embrace the new. A financial revolution, fair and true. For the workers, the dreamers, side by side. In Trump's new era, let freedom rise. Changing the wind, it's coming fast.
Welcome, everyone, to the Crazy Cryptonaut. I'm Zester, and I hope everyone is having a wonderful start to the week. My apologies for all those that were looking for the stream on Friday. I know that everything got thrown all kinds of off. I was very blessed to have a surprise visit from both my brother and my sister. And also, not a surprise, but Jeremy, my business partner, and someone that many people know, him and his family are also down visiting at the moment. And so it was a very busy weekend of having people coming and meeting and everything else. And yes, little Miss Tina is having a good time in her box. She loves this thing. Absolutely loves it. But no, it was awesome. It was awesome. And thank you guys all so much for all of the well wishes and to enjoy the family time. I know that I definitely did. They are leaving, at least my brother and sister are leaving in the morning. And so this is the last night where they will be here. And so for those that are not aware, you're also going to be seeing me over on the original Mark Z, where we have a whole different set of topics to go through and talk about, but that are extremely interesting. And we're also going to talk a little bit about some of the things we go over today on the Crazy Cryptonaut because of the Bitcoin conference. We ended up with crazy announcements, and we have something even crazier that is going on right now that I didn't even, I really should have included in the headline in regards to what is occurring in a response, essentially, from the current administration. So we're going to be jumping into that. But first of all, I'd like to go through and say some hellos and see how everyone is doing. Welcome, Tahoe from Lake Tahoe. I suppose the name fits. Thank you so much for joining. And Kukla, thank you so much as always. What's up, Gary? Coming in at number 2 on the like button. I appreciate that so much, guys. I don't know what the algorithm does against me and the things that we talk about, but anything that y'all can do to help out, it makes a huge difference. I'm pretty certain if y'all weren't all hitting the thumbs up, or if I didn't see y'all talking, everything on my channel would say that there was no one there. So thank you, Gary, and everyone else. What's up, George? Saying happy hot as heck outside Monday. Hey, I don't know where you're at, George, but I know the feeling. It's been an absolute steamer down here today in Puerto Rico. Thank you so much for joining. What's up, Crazy Chester? All right. Tahoe, my $100 investment in XRP in 2020 is valued at $690 today. Wondering if it will be up or down tomorrow. That's a great question, Tahoe. That's a great question. With everything going on in the world, I am not certain, but we're going to get you some information that might help, because we have some information that would kind of indicate that it probably is gonna, it's probably not gonna, well, of course, I haven't gone through and done my financial disclaimer yet. So let me say that first. Anything and everything talked about, discussed, or ever expressed by myself on the Crazy Kryptonaut channel is for education and entertainment purposes alone and should not be viewed as legal or financial advice in any form or fashion. Thank you, Kukla, for always making certain I remember that. But Tahoe, when we jump into some of the news, you will see that with a lot of the news we're going into today, the indication would be that your XRP might be down a little bit tomorrow, but I don't think it's going to last very long. Don't think it's going to last very long. Because, yes, right here, George, and this is what we're going to be talking about mainly today, guys, is the statements that Trump made during the Bitcoin conference. They were extremely big announcements, and we're going to be discussing why did the market not react? What happened? It took some time. I was sitting there with a perplexed look on my face about why the market was doing what it was until we started to do more digging and learn what was going on. So, yeah. George, Tahoe, after Trump and others' statement to make crypto part of USA's reserves, it would seem a good time to hold and watch it rise more. Already, the declaration from Donald J. Trump is that the United States will maintain a Bitcoin strategic reserve as soon as he becomes president. That in and of itself was already huge news. That was what was being leaked. We just didn't know the details. Now we do. And so we're going to get to jump into those in a few. Let me jump right through some hellos because I am gung-ho to start talking about the Bitcoin conference. I need to get through saying hello first. But yes, George, we're going to talk about that. What's up, musical lady? It was a crazy conference. Hello, Mile High Trish and Captain Spiffy. Coming in at number 12. Thank you very much, Spiffy. All right. Scrolling. It was a crazy speech, guys. Oh my, Barbie. I am so sorry to hear that. And please do, if you can, yeah. I know. Come on over to the original Mark Z stream as well. I know I will be praying for you and your family. I am so sorry to hear that, Barbie. Absolutely. All right. Continuing. Oh, what's up, Patricia Lee? And yes, George, I did manage to get Rumble to work today. I did. And so for all those over on Rumble, thank you so much for joining as well. Everything should be back on track. Oh, hola, Maria Luisa. Thank you so much for joining today. And that is an adorable kitten you have got there in your photo. Oh, welcome, Savvy. Oh, Linda Hearn. What's up, Neil Brooks? And Neil, 76. Man, you guys really caught a break today. I imagine that means that it's humid and stagnant as can be, but for it to only be 76 in the summer in North Carolina, that just doesn't add up. For those looking for a Tina, we got a Tina right here. Our lazy bum is taking a nap per usual. All right. Yes, Patricia Lee, my sister was a surprise. I was not aware. I had heard that just my brother was. My brother walked in while I was still finishing up work on Friday night. I wasn't even done. I knew he was showing up at some time. He walked in and he said, "Oh yeah, by the way, our sister's going to be here in a couple hours." What? I was so happy to hear about it. Welcome, Petrichor and Bear and Randy Moore and Speed Racer. Oh, and good evening, Robin. Mickey, much gratitude from Florida. Thank you so much for joining and a joyful voice. And guys, thank you all so much, so very much for all the well wishes. Margaret Ludlow, we will jump in and answer this question before I continue forward. And then we will start on the news today, guys. But this is one that I imagine a lot of people have heard similar things. Margaret Ludlow, question. I have always heard all crypto will go away except XRP and XLM. What is your opinion? Um, well, I guess, Margaret, what I would go ahead and point to is that Donald Trump literally yesterday announced that the United States, when he becomes president, will forever hold a strategic reserve in Bitcoin. To me, that's a pretty clear indication that, at least from Trump's standpoint, I doubt he would lie to us about that. He would really be hurting a lot of his supporters by lying to us about that. And so I would say, Margaret, just with like very recent information, that would be one thing that I would point to. Well, why are we hearing from Trump that Bitcoin is going to be extremely important? I mean, I have a list of quotes here from the speech that Trump made. Bitcoin stands for freedom, sovereignty, and independence from government coercion and control. Donald J. Trump. Donald J. Trump, never sell your Bitcoin. What is the cardinal rule of Bitcoin? Donald J. Trump says it's never sell your Bitcoin. And so, Margaret, in that regard, I would go ahead and I would make assumptions that Trump does not believe it'll just be XRP and XLM. I would also, just from the past and with entirely different logic, say, Margaret, that we are not going to see just XRP and XLM. We're going to see a variety of cryptocurrencies. Now, what I do agree with, Margaret, and what I think a lot of people are referencing when they talk about things of this nature is not the idea that there will only be XRP and XLM. I think that people kind of, they exaggerate to prove the point. And the point is that the vast majority of cryptocurrencies that are around today will be gone. And that I completely agree with, Margaret. The vast majority, 99% maybe, 90+%, a large majority of the cryptocurrencies that exist today will be gone in the future. Whether that's because they do not meet, compliance standards, whether they're illegal, or whether they just go out of business because they never really served a point in the first place. That part I absolutely agree on. And so that would be what I would kind of look towards, Margaret. Ultimately, we're seeing from Trump, we're seeing from very, very big names, very big people, that Bitcoin is going to be a major focus. And I have heard, just the same way that you have, that many folks say there will only be XRP and XLM. I have never believed that. Just because other cryptocurrencies serve different uses. Chainlink, it does nothing more than provide the ability for us to connect data from off-chain to on-chain. XRP and XLM don't do that. XRP and XLM need that. So unless they're going to take over that entire part of their business plan, they're going to keep needing Chainlink, and Chainlink's going to keep existing. VeChain is a supply chain blockchain designed to improve our supply chain and ensure the validity of what the product says. The product says it's natural, it's actually natural. If the product says that it's healthy or no chemicals, it actually is. That's not a business that XRP and XLM are even in. And so I would think that crypto would exist also. And so, Margaret, that's a really good question. There's a lot to get into there. And I am a big XRP holder, Margaret. So I obviously believe something's going on there. I'm noticing more and more folks that were kind of surprised. That is kind of surprised by the fact that President Trump did come out and say the strategic reserve. In all honesty, I would have to agree. Even as I was getting the information and I reported it last week that it was expected, it was leaking. I was hearing it from a variety of sources. I was still somewhat hesitant. What I did not expect in even the slightest form was for the way that the markets would react. I was very surprised. And I noticed a comment in here that I think I think we'll very much explain what we're going to be talking about later on in the stream. Yep, Gary. What are Biden owners going to do to try to sabotage crypto? You know they will try. Well, guess what? There's a reason that the prices of Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies did not start to explode yesterday, and on account of the Bitcoin conference on the whole. I mean, we should have been seeing a weekend of absolute, well, euphoria in many forms and fashions, but we didn't. Why did we not? Well, we're going to talk about that one, guys. I've got to jump in. I'm loving everyone's questions. I love getting to talk with everyone, but we do, because some of these ones we're going to be talking about very, very soon in the stream, with the articles, the proof, the information right there for everyone to see. All right. So let's go ahead and jump into our usual, guys. Always, we come in and we check to see what is going on the general markets. On general markets, well, they don't add up with the news. Bitcoin sitting at 67,163, down 1.1% over 24 hours. Bitcoin did try to actually surpass the 70K mark following the speech. It ended up failing to get through the sale pressure. And so no real large gain. Over the 7 days, 1.1%. Bitcoin essentially has remained essentially stagnant over the past week, despite all the news. Ethereum down 5% over 7 days. It has started to recover, up 1.8 in the past 24 hours. XRP actually really just XRP is just a stable coin, I think. XRP sitting at 60 cents. Everything went on, and XRP, I guess, was just enjoying its weekend. I don't know what it was up to. It seemed as if it was somewhat left out of the conversation. And beyond that, we've pretty much seen very little in oddities. We did see certain cryptocurrencies based around politicians see a little bit of action over the weekend, but in all honesty, even they remained pretty much stagnant. It's like nothing happened. All right. Mark Z on his recent podcast said that there was a vertical buy-up in order to suppress hard assets, including crypto, in my opinion, when connecting the dots. Musical lady. Matter of fact, I have got more proof. I have got the proof. I have proof that the United States government is trying to sabotage Donald J. Trump and crypto at this exact moment. I have literal hard proof. And so maybe we'll do things in the opposite order. Maybe we'll just do a little bit in regards to the conference. And so I actually locked in the conference right at this point, because this is right before Donald J. Trump says that he will fire Gary Gensler on his first day in office, which resulted in the Bitcoin conference going into an absolute hysteria of celebration. Donald Trump had a very, very funny quote right after that. It's something along the lines of, I did not realize that y'all hated him so much. So I'll go ahead and make that statement a second time. And he repeated that he would force Gary Gensler out on day one, and that if the Kamala Harris administration were to take over, Gary Gensler would be empowered. That was a very, very funny interaction. And for those that have not watched it, and for anyone that is curious, I'm going to go ahead and actually place this up immediately as a link inside of the chat. And so for everyone that has not seen it, this is Donald J. Trump speaking at the Bitcoin conference. A lot of the news, essentially all the news that I am going through today, is either in regards to what Trump said himself on the stage, or what has been said about him, or what has been done in response to the things he said on the Bitcoin conference stage. So if we were to go through and kind of just give an immediate breakdown of what occurred, Trump backs a U.S. Bitcoin reserve and says a Democrat win will be a disaster for crypto. Every one of you will be gone. And so Donald Trump, while on stage, stated that if Kamala Harris were to be elected, or anyone else, I don't even know if he specified, cackling Kamala as being the administration. But if the left were to win this election, that every crypto person, especially all the executives in that room, better start planning on where they're going to flee to, because they're all going to disappear. This, in and of itself, seemed like a very loaded statement when he made it. Every one of you will be gone. If I were sitting there and I were, a forensic analysis, and I heard that exact phrase of words and then somebody disappeared, I'd make some assumptions. And so that's kind of what I got some very weird. It's a very interesting speech, guys. And Donald Trump does state during it that if he were to lose, we're going to all disappear. That made me personally worried, because I'm not certain if he's talking about all of us, as in all of us on the right, all of us that own crypto, or all of us that are executives or business leaders in the crypto industry. I wasn't certain. Needless to say, I don't like hearing the idea or the fact that he does believe it, because I really don't doubt him, in all honesty. I do believe they would drive us out. He did make some other comments in regards to many people, if this administration were to win, many people from the crypto industry in the United States would flee the country, solely on account of the fact that they would have to in order to continue business. If we didn't flee, then we would either be put out of business or who knows what else. So, of course, very weird messaging going on there. Going beyond those statements, they're really going to end up being about 7 major points that we go through today. First of all, being the strategic national Bitcoin reserve. And so what Donald Trump announced during the event was that the United States currently holds 210,000 Bitcoin. That is 1% of all Bitcoin that will ever exist. Remember, 21 Bitcoin ever. 21 million Bitcoin ever. And the United States currently holds 210,000 Bitcoin, 1% of the entire supply. It has acquired those through criminal proceedings, essentially through taking them from criminals that were operating on the Silk Road, taking that from businesses that they didn't naturally agree with, maybe. But in the vast majority of cases, the people that's Bitcoin were taken throughout that 210,000. The vast majority deserve to have it taken. I do not say that as an umbrella term. I say that as the majority, not all. Of course, please keep in mind there is nuance. And so that is what Donald Trump announced. At the same time and on the same day, Senator Cynthia Lummis announced legislation that would, on top of Donald Trump's 1% of Bitcoin being in a national reserve for the United States to back up the US dollar, she would also look to make a purchase, a staged purchase by the US government of 5% of the Bitcoin supply over a certain period. And so this legislation came out on the same day from Cynthia. Cynthia and Donald Trump seem to be in lockstep on this. I believe that means she was aware of his statements before he made them. Why would she have timed it out like that if it weren't for a reason? And so that does lead to a little bit of an expectation that Donald Trump is probably going to support that bill. That bill would then result in the United States purchasing around 1 million more Bitcoin. That's a lot of Bitcoin, and that is a lot of money. A lot of money. The next comment made by Trump, and I alluded to these earlier as we were talking, is Donald Trump on Bitcoin said that the United States should never sell another Bitcoin ever again. Now, this comment definitely, in my opinion, led to a lot of speculation and a lot of curiosity on my part and a lot of others. In that, does that mean the government is not going to sell Bitcoin no matter what? And when I mean no matter what, as in if the United States gets paid taxes in Bitcoin at some time in the future, is the United States going to hold that as a reserve currency and not utilize that, not take advantage of those dollars? I don't know. There's a lot of nuance and questions to never sell, but essentially what Donald Trump said is the cardinal rule of Bitcoin holders is that you do not sell Bitcoin. You buy Bitcoin and you hold Bitcoin. You do not sell it. It is a matter of ensuring your future wealth. And that the U.S. government would adopt the same policy. Right now, we have just gone through two of the biggest announcements in crypto history. The U.S. president has just stated that the Bitcoin reserve will be considered on the same level as the United States oil reserve, strategic oil reserve, strategic steel reserves, the same as the strategic gold reserves. Donald Trump, during the announcement, mentioned the possibility of cryptocurrency becoming more valuable than gold. Gold is a $15.7 trillion industry, to my knowledge. Now, I may be a little bit off on the numbers on there, but it's somewhere right around there. I'm thinking back to past articles and things that I've learned and read, but somewhere around 15 trillion. We can see right now that cryptocurrency is currently sitting at 2.5 trillion. And so Donald Trump also made the announcement that at some point in time, there may end up actually being a point where crypto is more valuable than gold. So there are three big ones: National Reserve, Strategic National Reserve. The U.S. government will no longer sell Bitcoin. Donald Trump believes Bitcoin has the potential of, or at least I would say, becoming digital gold in regards to kind of simplifying his statements on that, because he was very long-winded in that part of the speech. Fourth would be that he wants Bitcoin to be mined, minted, and made in the United States. This is a statement he had already made in the past, but this is him just reinforcing the idea. How is he planning on doing this? Donald Trump also announced that with his administration, it will be drill, baby, drill. That is how he's planning on reducing the cost of energy in order to ensure that U.S. miners are capable of competing with foreign miners. And so this ended up including things in regards to our strategic ability to be oil independent. And he plans on helping and assisting with tackling the Bitcoin mining problem by also fixing the United States' lack of energy independence. So all Bitcoin mined, minted, created in the United States, going to do that by drill, baby, drill. We're going to stop holding back our U.S. companies. We're going to stop profiting the monarchies and despots of the world that we buy our oil from today. That still drives me absolutely nuts. The very idea that we somehow think it is better for us to give and make all of these different maniacs out there on the world stage into billionaires rather than become independent ourselves is, well, it's a moral issue I have with U.S. foreign policy, but I understand why we do it. That's a conversation for another day. I know exactly why, but I don't agree. As we continue forward in the first 100 days of the Trump administration, Donald J. Trump has announced that he will be creating a crypto board. This board will be designed and will be filled by crypto supporters in order to create regulations, laws, and a framework for the crypto industry. For those that are not aware, one of the major inhibiting factors for crypto's development has been a lack of laws. We're actually mad that we just don't have laws. We don't know what's legal. We don't know what's illegal. And that makes it to where we can't make decisions. We're not able to bring our product to market because maybe we release the product and then no other than Gary himself, the original OGG Gary Gensler, knocks on our door and we start to have a very bad day. And so that is where these laws, this framework is extremely important. And for it to be built by people that actually want the crypto industry to succeed is even more positive information. I mean, that's huge win. That's exactly what we want to hear, is that we will have laws and a framework quick. He claims he will have it set up to be done in 100 days. Of course, whenever the government throws out a timeline, you know that things can go awry. All right. So to recap at this point, major change in regards to U.S. energy policy, which is going to assist us in a variety of other ways. It's going to help you at the pump. It's going to help you everywhere in your life. Your goods, when you go to the grocery store, things are going to be cheaper because the cost of the fuel in order to get them there are going to be cheaper. When you go to fill up the truck or hopefully maybe fill up the boat for a fun weekend out on the lake, it's going to be infinitely cheaper than it was under the Biden administration. And that is what's going to allow for the mining industry to really take advantage of it. Bitcoin mining needs a lot of power, and that power needs to be cheap. If it's not, then we get beat by any country that's willing to give away power cheaper. Fun fact, one of the major Bitcoin mining countries is Kazakhstan. Why? Because Kazakhstan has a buttload of extra energy and they don't have anybody using it, so their energy is very, very cheap. That is the major competition factor in that industry. So that is a absolutely huge one. Really applies to multiple different things, not just crypto. Number 2, a strategic Bitcoin reserve with 210,000 Bitcoin sitting inside of it. And he will never sell these Bitcoin. These were originally confiscated from illegal activities. He did not discuss adding more Bitcoin to the reserve while on the stage, just that he would create a U.S. strategic reserve. All right. So for third, he will go ahead and he will actually appoint a Bitcoin advisory council to create laws in the first 100 days in order to get this thing done and get everybody out there having some clarity, because it's very nice to not know if you're about to do something illegal, especially when you're not doing anything wrong. Number 5. And so this is one we had not talked about yet, but this is one we already knew from Trump's previous statements. There will not be a central bank digital currency, not in any form, not in any fashion. Not a possibility. He will not allow it. Huge win there. Now, what I'd also say is kind of adding on, and I think I lost count, but 4, 5, 6, whatever we're at. Also, he will protect self-custody. He will protect our right to keep our money in our own hands. And all of these really come together to tie in to be the biggest announcements ever made in regards to crypto. The biggest. And now let's jump to the next question. Well, why, if Donald J. Trump made all these statements that are extremely interesting, very, very positive for crypto, why did crypto not respond positively? I mean, we know he's going to win the election. We know he's the only one that's pro crypto. Shouldn't everybody in crypto have been going out there and buying? Well, here's the funny thing. Turns out many people were. Many people were. And so, the US government, following Trump's announcements, has transferred over $2 billion of Bitcoin in order to be sold. And so, because Donald Trump said that he was not going to allow the Bitcoin to ever be sold again, the current administration and government is attempting to liquidate all of the United States strategic reserve of Bitcoin before Trump is back in office. Bitcoin reverses lower as investors digest Trump crypto comments, and Bitcoin tumbles as U.S. government moves $2 billion of what they quote unquote state are Silk Road tokens. And so, remember, the United States has about $12 billion worth of Bitcoin currently that we know of. And now, I mean, immediately, we're talking about in a matter of hours over and past Trump's announcement, the current administration is now attempting to liquidate the U.S. holdings of Bitcoin. And so for those that went into it and got extremely, extremely confused, like myself, because I was sitting there looking at the markets over the weekend and I was confused. Why? What is happening? Like, we're hearing the best news in the world. Is everybody asleep? Is everybody, what's happening? And I knew that there had to be something occurring, but I couldn't find it in the moment. I was running around. I couldn't find anyone talking about it. I had all the family and everything here. So I just didn't have time to go dig into the blockchain in order to start trying to figure it out. This morning, I started jumping in and looking at the amount of money that was coming in and out. And articles started to pop up throughout the day. And so this one came in at 1:11 p.m. Most all the articles in regards to this money movement are coming in from today. And from what I can see, there was actually money being moved around in very weird ways before that. It seems as if that comment that Gary had made earlier, the one I pointed at and said, well, we're going to be referencing this. It seems as if a matter of manipulation occurred and that people knew what Trump was going to announce. They knew what he was going to announce. And we can confirm that because why would Cynthia Loomis have also announced that she was going to drop her legislation on the same day, which just so happens to be about a Bitcoin strategic reserve. Now we see, the market really struggle throughout the weekend. And now we have proof. The United States, immediately following Donald J. Trump's announcement, moved over $2 billion worth of Bitcoin. Think about it, guys. The United States moving $2 billion worth of Bitcoin and saying, hey, we're going to sell it. That's going to make every investor sell because they're going to be scared. They're going to be scared because they know $2 billion worth of sales are about to happen at some point in time. And so they go ahead and they start to bail on the situation. And that allowed the U.S. government essentially, well, and I shouldn't say even the U.S. government, the current administration, their lackeys, pawns, maybe handlers, it allowed them to essentially scare the market away. Because the market was terrified that $2 billion was about to drop as a sale. And no matter how you look at it, remember how we've discussed the way leverage works. $2 billion should not matter in the grand scope of things. It really should. We're talking about a huge market. But $2 billion does matter. because of leveraged traders on various exchanges. And I think that's something we're even going to have to dig deeper into, is the logic around one exchange versus another exchange. One exchange has a different price than another one on the same cryptocurrency, and they offer different levels of leverage. But needless to say, to keep it simple, $2 billion. We've seen 500 million result in a cascading liquidation crisis. We've seen very small amounts of money in the grand scope of things in comparison to $2 billion make a large impact, because they make the sales, or they threaten to make the sales. Other people panic, they sell, and now all the people that took out leveraged positions start to get liquidated. And we end up in a liquidation ladder that ends up destroying these gamblers down to extremely rock bottom solid price points for Bitcoin or other cryptocurrencies. There's no more room for them to go down because there's no more major leverage that's not capable of covering its own butt. So I would, in my mind, this was an obvious maneuver by the U.S. government. This has got to be unconstitutional. There is no way that you can, right after we're talking in a matter of very short amount of months that Donald Trump is set to be elected president. He makes a major declaration in regards to his future policy, and the current administration starts to immediately liquidate the asset he mentioned. That is insanity. That's insanity. What do they need the $2 billion for? I mean, our government owns the printers. They own the printers. They don't need the $2 billion. All they wanted to do was prove, in their way, or falsely prove. All they wanted to do was manipulate the market in a way to make Donald Trump look dumb. Oh, Donald Trump supports Bitcoin. Look, Bitcoin goes down. Oh, Donald Trump must be awful. There is no other logic behind this than that. And that is beyond government manipulation. Beyond government manipulation. That has got to be a constitutional crisis. It occurred today, at least Arkham, in terms of their announcements, and the U.S. government has split the 2 billion Bitcoin into two addresses. One address with $10,000 of Bitcoin, around $669 million. And here is the wallet address so that you can actually go look at the money being held by the government. And then we have 19,800 Bitcoin coming in at $1.33 billion. And we actually have the wallet address. And so, for those that are interested in being able to share the proof, this article will, of course, be out there in the Discord, but I'm also going to go ahead and drop the article in the chat, because this is one where I think a lot of people need to be aware of what's happening. This is breaking news. This is not old. This is 1:11 p.m. We are just getting this information. The vast majority of Americans do not know. The vast majority of Trump supporters do not know. They don't know that the Biden administration is trying to, essentially, it's economic terrorism. They're attempting financial terrorism, and millions of Americans are going to suffer on account of it, and it's going to hurt the United States going on for generations, possibly. But I would say, guys, that was the main thing that I really wanted to talk about today, was the fact that we got the basics. We got through, what did Trump say? What did he go through? Strategic reserve, never sell your Bitcoin. He's going to create a policy group in order to create quality laws. He is going to fire Gary Gensler, which that makes everybody happy, not just in the crypto industry. Still planning on freeing Ross Ulbricht, the creator of Silk Road. And mainly that Trump is embracing the idea. He even mentioned and said that the crypto industry in the United States is similar to the steel industry 1,000 years ago. I mean, to place that in context and to think about, and for those that aren't aware, in terms of the steel industry, exactly 100 years ago, which is where it starts to get very interesting in the steel industry going towards World War II. We ended up industrializing the steel industry to a massive degree, and also taking government control over the steel industry during the Eisenhower years, after we had already taken over essentially full government control over the steel industry back during the Great Depression and World War II. And so this is something that, consecutive presidents participated in. Steel became an extremely, extremely important matter of national security. And Trump made the comment that crypto was like the steel industry 100 years ago. I really would suggest, guys, that you go through and you watch the convention, at least just Trump's speech. Of course, it's Trump. He's long-winded, but I would highly recommend that you watch it, because it is something where there's a lot more to dig into. I've only had the ability, with everything else going on, to listen through his words one time all the way through, and then certain parts a second timer or three, but haven't got to dig into all of it. There's far more to be extrapolated from his word choices than just what we have gotten at this point in time. I'm certain more people besides myself are digging into the words, and I would love for y'all to go through and kind of point out the different phrases, the different things that he says that to you seems particularly important or particularly weird. Some of the different references and quotes that he made, like that crypto is like the steel industry 100 years ago, and I started to think historically and start to think about that time frame in the industry. That all became very intriguing, and I'm certain that as we all have more time and we get to learn more in regards to the administration's opinions, that we're going to be able to make even bolder assumptions. One thing I would state that was never mentioned throughout Trump talking was that he never mentioned the idea of connecting, and he did, but he didn't. He made the connection, and he made some some of the comments I had a hard time hearing or understanding exactly his word choice. He made some comments, as I referenced, about cryptocurrency maybe being like gold. What did he mean with that statement? That's a question that if I had him right in front of me right now, that I would be asking. What did he mean? Are we talking about making crypto into something that is backed by precious metals like gold and silver? Or are we talking about making it a larger industry, a more valuable industry than the precious metals industry? I would like to know that answer. And I have a feeling many people here would like to know that as well. All right, jumping to our next one, guys. All right, this is an article that, well, it's Forbes. It's Forbes. All right, I'm gonna get it off screen, and I'm not gonna share it. I'm just gonna talk about what they talked about. Forbes discussed different things that had been coming out from the 2025 project, which, of course, we know that the left-wing media tried to pin that as the Donald Trump agenda, everything else of that nature. But what it makes is a bold prediction that, and essentially this Forbes article, I don't know where they found this guy. It's actually kind of interesting. But he essentially discussed the idea that the Republican Party winning this election, and say they do follow more along lines with the 2025 agenda, that it would create a massive boom in the precious metal and crypto industries, and that essentially precious metals and cryptocurrencies would become the way that we store and transact value. I know for everyone out there, that's a very, very interesting conversation. It was from Forbes, and you know how I feel about that. From the articles that we've shared and that I've gone through in the past, the horrifying things that they said in the aftermath of the attempt on Trump. But needless to say, sometimes you got to go into the lion's den in order to get something to eat. And so, very, very interesting article. I can grab it back up and bring it back out if anybody really needs it, but I don't really want to help Forbes get more traffic on their website unless I have to, or unless there's a good purpose to it. All right, for our final thing, one little thing I just want to share out there, and this is absolutely just in regards to the donation. But Netflix, one of the founding members at Reed Hastings, gave a $7 million donation to the Kamala Harris administration. And there are now cryptocurrencies that are actually giving out free money to people that cancel their Netflix account. These are cryptocurrencies, meme tokens, jokes of meme tokens that actually support Donald J. Trump. And they are now putting out bounties, $25 in their token to every person that cancels their Netflix subscription. Regardless of whether it's for the crypto, I think there's a lot to be said about canceling your Netflix subscription if you have not already, considering the fact that they have made their stance very, very clear. And nowadays, it is a matter of freedom of speech, the way we spend our dollars. It is freedom of expression. And if they are going to try to destroy our futures and our country's futures by supporting candidates like Kamala Harris, then we are morally incorrect if we ever give them a dime. If we're paying for a Netflix subscription and then going out there and saying that we believe in a better America, we are liars. We are liars. We are hypocrites. And so, for those that are curious, there are little things like that going on. Steph Jones, actually, you do get the $25. I know because I got my $25. That's the only reason that I showed it, was because I was going through and I was like, well, sure, I'll send in my information. I got my $25. So I don't know whether it'll work for everybody else, but it did, at least in one situation. And so I'm going to include all of the links that I went through today, besides the Forbes link. Somebody, I guess, is going to have to ask if they want that one. And I'm going to go ahead and end the stream a little bit early today, because we are going to be talking about a little bit of different crypto-related news on the original Mark Z. And also, we've got other things to dive into. And of course, we've got none other than Lucas joining as well. And so we're going to have a fun one. I'm going to take myself a little break, maybe get a little food, and be ready for the stream at 7 p.m. And so thank you guys all so much. If you please could hit the like button, leave a comment. I don't know, share it, tell your neighbor. I would greatly appreciate it. It really does help. And wait. All right, I see it. One last thing. And this, I guess, is actually kind of cool because we don't really get them both in camera very often. But we have got our Valentino. And we've even become pretty friendly with each other. Yes. We have. We have. Now, if I were to test that statement, though, and say they've become friendly with each other and put them together, somebody's getting bopped on the nose. So I won't do that. But they do. They seem to be becoming very much friends. I wake up every morning now with Valentina is sleeping somewhere between, either trying to sleep between my legs or she's trying to sleep somewhere around my feet, and Valentina will be sleeping and just staring at me in the face the second I wake up. And so I have a full bed and very happy kitties. Very, very happy kitty cats. And so I hope everyone appreciated their their kitty time. And of course, kitties will be back on the original Mark Z in just a little bit. Yes. What are you thinking? All right, guys. See you in just a little bit over on the original Mark Z at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Thank you so much, guys. I love you.